This is Swim, Success with Music. Yo, what's up, music people? This is Walt. This is Success with Music. I am your music coach, your missed most of the Super Bowl watcher, if you are an Eagles fan, I wouldn't feel secure about that trophy until I got all the way back to the locker after the game. And for those who do not follow American football, just know that the New England Patriots could come back even after the game is over. I'm just saying. Anyhow, let's dive in for today. Yo, this is Walt again. This is Success with Music. This is a podcast for musicians, singers, songwriters, beat makers, students. Yo, we are about that music life. Hey, so I want to get into our topic in just a few moments for today, and we will be discussing making more money with music. That's always an awesome thing. I want to bring some lessons to the show that I had to put into practice recently, and I feel that it will help you generate more income if you're out there selling your music. So yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. But it is the top of the show, and I always like to start with some fun and interesting facts. So today will be a little music trivia for you. I'm going to give you 3 facts about music that you may be unaware of. These facts today come from a website called knowable.com. That's knowable.com. Knowable.com. All right, so here are the 3 music facts. Did you know that listening to music has the potential to have a small but significant impact on athletic performance? Did you know that? I don't know about you, but when I go to the gym, I gotta have something pretty strong playing through my headphones, like on 10, because I need all the motivation I can get while trying to get my diesel and sweat on at the gym. So yeah, music actually helps increase performance. I actually heard a study about this. I forget what the percentages are, but that's a real thing. So yeah, whenever I forget my headphones, when I go to the gym, I'm totally deflated and just want to turn back and go home. I think I may have done that once. In the times that I stayed, man, it was just a struggle without having my beats playing. So, and not Beats by Dre, just, my beats. Anyhow, let's move on to the next fact. This one is from the real Slim Shady. Eminem, how many hours before the final cut was due to the record company? How many hours do you believe Slim Shady was put together before it was submitted to the record company? Way back in the day. Was it like 24 hours, 48 hours? What do you think? In actuality, it was submitted 3 hours before the final cut was due to be submitted to the record company. So, man, looks like that last minute jam proved to be pretty successful for Eminem. All right, let's go on to our last music fact for today. And this is something kind of crazy, and that's why I want to get into our main topic. It relates to money and music. I want you to think about this. For every $1,000 in music sold, the average musician, now get this, will make $23.40. They put that in their pocket once it's all said and done. Think about what I just said think about what I just said here for this music fact. For every $1,000, $1,000 of your music that's sold, they're saying that the average musician out there will only pocket $23.40 of that. That is absolutely bananas. If you run the math on this, now this is really where it gets crazy. If your band, if your group, let's say you guys see $1 million in gross revenue. Let's say you put your tracks out there, you go tour, you sell stuff online, you get licensing deals or whatever. They're saying that according to the averages, if you sold $1 million of music, you only pocket $23,400. What kind of craziness is that? Think about it. You go from $1 million in sales to only putting $23,400 in your pocket. Madness. Yeah, so given that last fact, man, we got to figure out a way to make some more money with music. That's just crazy. I wish I knew the backstory for the math. That's just discouraging. And I'm wondering if that's something, if these averages come from working with major labels and they have, I don't know, their marketing department and lawyer fees and on all that stuff, man, that's just psycho. All right. Anyhow, our main topic for the day is about music and making more money with your music. And I covered this subject. This was covered back in episode 25, and we talked about 4 ways to make money with music. That's episode 25. Today, I'm going to deal with a different aspect of making money. Again, that episode that I just alluded to, episode 25, was just giving you 4 different avenues to make money with music. Today, I want to deal with whatever avenue you happen to choose, how to maximize your earning with that avenue. All right. So I'm going to give you 4 major things that you should keep in mind when trying to generate more money, squeeze more juice out of that lemon, man. If we're looking at those percentages that I just gave you a second ago, making $23 for every $1,000 sold, man, we got to get those averages up. All right. So let me start with the first one here. So I'm going to talk about a specific avenue right now today, as we get started, but don't focus too hard on that. Just focus on the lesson within this avenue that I'm going to point out for you. All right. So that's the groundwork. So I just had a brand new client show up a couple of weeks ago. This happened to be with the music marketing avenue, meaning jingle. So I wrote a jingle for a client. I helped them brand their new ad campaign out in Chicago. So again, you can go back to episode 25 to hear more about how to make money with jingles, but I would just want to lay out the avenue that I went down here to get to my first point. Now, mind you, this project is all about creating music for someone else, my client, as I just alluded to. I'm not making music for my personal repertoire. I'm not making music for my artists. I'm not making music for anything that has to do with something that I want to put my name on per se. I'm literally selling a product to someone else. In this instance, again, it's a jingle. Now, the client came to me and said, hey, we want to have our music do X, Y, and Z. And they gave me a whole bunch of examples out there of things that they liked. And I'm like, oh, cool. I can go and tackle this for you, no problem. But as a musician, I went into this project thinking that, you know what, I am going to make it incredibly creative. I'm going to make it like cutting edge. Because in the jingle world, quite frankly, you'll have some stuff out there that sounds kind of old school and hokey and whatever. I wanted to create it in modern, sweet sound for this client, completely blow them away in the Chicago market, which is a pretty big city to have your advertising air, essentially. Now, I created a sound for this client I was incredibly happy with. Man, I got some new plugins for my digital audio workstation. I had some new soft synths. I was pretty happy with all of this modern, clean, crisp sound. But guess what? The client was not feeling it at all. And I couldn't, well, let me back up. I was going to say I couldn't understand this, but I've been down this road before. At the moment, I had like temporary amnesia. I'm like, what is happening? Why is it that this client does not like what I'm providing? What they're going to get in terms of their sound far surpasses the competition out there in terms of the product itself, meaning music marketing or music for branding purposes. But as I got into this project, I remember a lesson that I learned a long time ago. It's really not about what I want as a musician. Because they are a paying client, they are asking me to do what they want me to do, which is this old school sound of which they gave me examples of in the beginning. So against my better music judgment or creative judgment, I dumbed down my music. Yeah, I hate to say that, but it's true. I simply gave them what they were looking for. They weren't paying me to be creative, which sounds crazy as a musician to say that. They were simply paying me to create music for the commercial that they felt comfortable with. So that's today's lesson. If you're looking to make more money as a musician and someone's paying you for that music, you have to create what they deem as good, not what you deem as good. And those things can be very, very, very far apart. All right, let me go on to the next point. I mentioned that the client sent me a whole bunch of like video clips, like YouTube links or whatever for things that they like. They say, hey, you know what? We like this sound. Hey, this company has this for their marketing. Hey, we like that stuff. The reason why I bring this up is I got in trouble with this client with my vocals. Meaning I created some vocal tracks and stacked some vocals, did some harmonies and things like that. Again, I thought they were sweet. The client came back and says, you know what? We don't like the vocals. And the problem sometimes, and this is kind of a side note, when you're dealing with clients who are not musical, it's really tough to get feedback. So for instance, I use a gal that has a deep, raspy voice. All right. So the client comes back and says, yeah, the vocals, they're all high and really thin and squeaky. And I'm thinking that is nowhere near what I gave you. But I realized there were some harmony choices and things like that that gave them the impression that this person had some kind of high voice. They really didn't. But when I went back to the original links they sent me for these other examples, there was just a whole bunch of dudes singing in these jingles, these old burly sounding guys. Anyhow, I'm going to leave that alone. It just sounded cheesy. I mean, these guys really weren't vocalists. It was more like 50 guys just chanting random marketing messages in a large room. That's what it sounded like to me. It just sounded like a crazy mob kind of singing, like they're marching, I don't know, in some weird army or something. It just sounded crazy. Again, the point is, it wasn't my preference. But when I heard this over and over again in the various links, I realized, all the females that I would choose for this track would seem high for them. They essentially wanted a guy to sing the vocals. And I'm thinking, why don't you just say that? But again, sometimes when people hear music and they're trying to talk about music they're hearing and they're not musicians, they say some of the craziest things. The point being is try to get your potential customer to send you audio clips or links to things that they like. And if you can, just dissect the similarities between the tracks if you have multiple examples. In my case, I did. All right. So let's move on to point number 3. One thing that really, really helped me to convince my client to kind of move down the production and the songwriting process, I started to explain all of the things that I was doing. So I'm going to jump back to my previous point as I've been doing today. Now, in my previous point, I mentioned I'm dealing with a client who is not musical. They don't know music theory. They didn't take lessons. They're just a business person. Now, as a musician, what I'm doing as I'm composing music for this client, I am telling them specifically, this is why I have put that here, or this is why I use a specific melody, or this is why I use this instrumentation. This is why I use this tempo. And I explain what those things are in layman's terms or in common vernacular so that they can understand it. But the point being is that this client started to get the impression that I wasn't just randomly throwing music together, but it was being done thoughtfully. Now, in this specific avenue that I went down, meaning the jingle world, it's really important to have some marketing logic behind what you're doing. But this can be applicable to any area. If you're creating, I don't know, a piece for a theatrical purpose, or if you're creating music for an artist, you want to explain to the person that is going to be taking the music why you went down that process. or why you went down that creative path. So again, my client didn't agree with everything, but again, they understood my